One thing that stands out about Jasper, the thing that stands out about so many places in the state of Indiana is we're all part of something big, okay? And for the most part, unless they're really struggling delusionally, most people are Indiana fans. So that's an important thing. And I know there's some of other places, but it's so much more than that. They love their state. They love their sports. They love their baseball and their football and their basketball. But they love their families. They love their families. And what Scott and Todd Rowland are doing back in Bloomington to help people that have been through hard times, and what they do with the Enos Furley Foundation, it's amazing. And it really shouldn't be. It really shouldn't be amazing when you live in the state of Indiana and you see how people want to give back. But it is somewhat amazing when you look at how dedicated a guy like Scott Rowland is to that, with all the money he has made, with all the baseball he has played, with all the places that he could live, and with all the places that time that he could spend with his money and putting it into resources. He puts it into this state. He puts it into Bloomington. He has a home in Bloomington. And we've got parts of our new baseball stadium named after him. I mean, that's special. And that's one of the reasons that it's so great to come to a place like this, because you're the people that get a chance to come. If you don't have season tickets, you grab those holiday tickets. Or you'll come up for Hoosier Hysteria. Or you'll come up when somebody has an opportunity for them. And I know it's getting harder and harder to get Indiana tickets. It's always been that way. And this year, we're probably going to have our student tickets somewhere around the 15,000 range. Last year, it was in the 12,000 range, where we can really only get about 7,500 of them in there. But there's such a demand for people to come to the games and be a part of it that we've got to try to get everybody in. And that's why we appreciate it when you come for those holiday games, or when you do buy the season tickets, or when you come up for an event, because it means a lot. Because we are selling, spreading the word, whatever adjective you want to use, when it comes to family, Indiana family, we're using it constantly. And now we have a program that lives up to it. Now we have a program that we can now build into the traditions that have already been there basketball-wise. We can build into the great times at Indiana, where, again, when they come back for the reunions, or when you think about them, or when you see a John Laskowski or an Anthony Thompson in football, you think about those great teams. You rarely ever think about the great individuals, though there are some fantastic individuals, but you think more about the teams. And to me, that's why those banners stand for so much. That's why the tradition of Indiana stands for so much, because it's this big, strong family. And 5 years ago, when we needed you most, and then 4 years ago, and then 3 years ago when we were struggling, nobody turned away. They kept with it. And our program continued to develop the right way because of it. So when a Victor Oladipo would come for a football game on a Thursday night, he would see that atmosphere in there, because his decision was going to come much earlier than basketball season. And he could come in and see a football game, and he could come in and see the excitement. And when people would come in for a Hoosier Hysteria, or come in for a game, or come in for a Saturday afternoon football game, or see a soccer game, all right, it sells it. And that's what we're trying to do at Indiana. That's what the whole theory of 24 sports, one team, it's alive and well. It's alive and well. And I'm looking at what Kurt is doing with his team. I said this to him the other day. We're discussing something else. And last summer, when he talks about that he never had enough to go 5-on-5, I'm not sure there were 5 different times I saw those young ladies walking around the building. And we're in the same building. And our culture had developed to the point where we're a 24/7 access building at Cook Hall, with a lot of guys that would go 2 or 3 times a day, 365 days a year. So our culture was building up. He didn't have that last year. In a short period of time, he's building that. You'll see those young ladies in there early in the morning. You'll see them in there late at night. And one of the great things that the NCAA did is they allowed us, starting last summer, to work with our players. We get 2 hours a week for 8 weeks with the veterans, and 2 hours a week with the rookies, 2 hours a week with the rookies for 6 weeks. So that was the first time last summer. Well, it's one thing to come in when you're expected to and when the time says that you need to be in there. It's a whole other thing when you're in there because you want to be. And that's what's going on in ladies basketball. There's no question about it. And that's the track record that Kurt has from what he built at Bowling Green. And when my in-laws, the Harbaughs, are at the MAC Hall of Fame induction tonight in Cleveland. And they're there because one of my father-in-law's former players at Western Michigan, John Offerdahl, is going in the Hall of Fame. And another reason they're there is because the great Bill Mallory is going in the Mid-American Conference Hall of Fame. And driving up here today thinking about that, Kurt Miller will go in that Hall of Fame someday. But I also think he's going to go in the Indiana Hall of Fame and probably the Indiana Basketball Hall of Fame, because I think he's going to get this program where it needs to be. There are so many excellent storylines and excellent coaches and programs going on. What Todd Yeagley did with that soccer program, phenomenal. And he lived up to what he helped build. As a young man, when he was growing up in his mother and father's house, to a player playing for his father, to an assistant coach playing for his father, and to a head coach living in the shadow and legacy of his father. That can't be easy. That can't be easy when your dad is the all-time winningest soccer coach. All right, but there he is. Now he's got a national championship. Tracy Smith, who rode up here with me a couple years ago when we came to Jasper, he's busy tonight because he's getting ready to do something that has never been done at Indiana. They're having a regional, all right, tomorrow, starting tomorrow afternoon with Austin Peay in Florida, and then playing Valparaiso tomorrow night on campus in Indiana. He's one of the top teams in the country right now. And you know what the great news is? The bulk of his team is young. And fortunately for them, they can't leave after 1 or 2 years. They got to wait for 3. So he's going to have some of those guys back. But it's fantastic. And what I'll say about football is, because I get a chance to watch that pretty well up close. I mean, we're not over there all the time, but we interact. We cross paths a lot. You always see their players coming and going. And you don't see them in a nice white T-shirt, and you don't see them in a button-down polo. You see them sweating. You see them coming back from a workout, early morning, traveling in, late at night, coming back. They're in there working. And I think now this is the year where you're really going to see what development looks like, because they had some good young players. That offensive line, I don't know if there could have been a younger offensive line in the country. I don't know the math on that, but I would doubt that there was. They're still going to be young, but they're going to be that much better a year later. Their offensive line coach is one of the best in the country, and Greg Fry. They lost. I mean, they really had the rug cut out from under them when Trey Roberson got hurt at UMass. Because people forget, he'd scored 2 touchdowns, I think, in that game. That kid was on his way to being a special sophomore year quarterback. And then he had the injury. And much as we learned when Maurice Creek went down in the second year, you can't prepare for losing your best player. Not when you're rebuilding a program, not when you're trying to get your program where it needs to be, not when you don't have a lot of great players. But they persevered. They kept getting better. They kept getting opportunities. What he's done in recruiting at Indiana in a short period of time, with bringing in guys now like Antonio Allen, who's going to challenge the play a lot of snaps in that defensive backfield. Darius Latham, who's one of the best defensive players in the country, that's going to be on that defensive line. All these different guys that they brought in. First and foremost, they're starting to crank down on Indiana. They're getting the best in Indiana. The best in Indiana. Because what happened in Indiana, there may not have been a whole lot of really good players, but people from around the country were coming in to get them. And now he's buttoning that down. He's getting to the point where they're going to keep those guys, where they're going head-to-head with all the other national programs. And that's what's got to happen, because that's what happened for us. That's what happened for us. We needed to make sure we got people that fit Indiana culture for Indiana basketball. That's where Victor Oladipo comes in. That's where Christian Watford comes in. That's where Will Sheehy comes in. But we also had to make sure that we kept the best at home. That's where Jordan Hulls was a big part of this. That's where Cody Zeller was absolutely paramount. Absolutely paramount to what was going to happen. Because you've got to get the right people. All right? And if you get the right people that have some talent and have some athleticism and have some intelligence and have a work ethic, well, now you've got a chance to really, really shine, and you've got a chance to fly. You can have all those other things. You can have the talent. You can have the intelligence. You can have the work ethic. But they're not the right kind of people, something's going to give. And it's usually not anything that's good. But we have gotten this to the point where there are the right kind of people. Cody Zeller left after 2 years with 56 wins. I've never been around anybody in my personal life as a coach that has had more expectations thrust upon him before he ever played a game. And he didn't just meet him, he went way beyond him. And he will be one of the first players taken in the draft. There's absolutely no doubt about it. What's even more amazing, he was direct admitted into the Kelley Business School, as most of you know. For those of you that don't know, he left after 2 years, 35 credits short of graduation. had the highest GPA on our team at a 3.6. That's a strong, strong young man. And it's competitive for that GPA right now, because we had a team GPA of a 3.04. And in the world of college basketball at the highest level, with everything that's going on for our team the last couple of years, especially this last year, that's pretty strong. It's pretty strong when a Victor Oladipo has a 3.0 in high school and he graduates from Indiana in 3 years on his 21st birthday with a 3.2 GPA overall. That's strong stuff. But we are going to continue to do that. We'll make a mistake here and there. There's not any doubt about that. We'll have to learn and grow, but we're going to keep getting and keep working as hard as we can get, as hard as we possibly can, to get the right people. And what that means is we're going to be going against the best programs in the country. We're going to be going against other traditional powers. We're going to be going against other people in the Big Ten. But we have such a product to sell. And it's reasons like this tonight. It's reasons because there's so many people here, all right, on a Thursday night, because the communities of this state make up this unbelievable thing that people cannot touch. And that's the Hoosier Nation for where it's at. And it's fantastic. So keep supporting all these other teams as we go down the line. Snap up those holiday tickets when you can. Get up there for the open practices for the Hoosier Hysteria. We want to continue to do more things that put our team in front of big crowds before we play games, because we're going to be very, very young. An ESPN writer wrote a story, and they ranked some players, and I'm paraphrasing, but basically said the greatest mystery in college basketball right now is how good will Indiana be? Well, that mystery started to unravel today when we started our new player workouts. We had our first workout today with Noah Vonleh, with Devin Davis, and with Colin Hartman. Tomorrow we'll have it with Luke Fisher. And the next week we'll have it with Troy Williams, Evan Gordon, and Stanford Robinson. And today Hunter Perea was back. This weekend Yogi Ferrell and Jeremy Hollowell comes back. We'll start to build this thing back up. Will Sheehy's been there but every day but about 3. And just constant work. And being in that gym today, it's been really tough when they've been gone. I mean, they needed a break. The season's long. It's getting longer all the time because we can work with them in the summer. But it's hard when they're not there every day. It's hard because you want to see them getting better. Well, they get back in that gym today, and we're back in our element. Noah Vonleh is when you look at his body, 6'9", 3/4, has a 7'5" wingspan. He weighed in at 230 pounds. He did a max vertical jump of 38 inches. He is going to be a special, special player. Right now he's got special talent. And as those skills and fundamentals go with him, he's going to have a chance to be one of those guys that people are going to be writing a lot of stories about, doing a lot of specials on TV about, and you're going to know where you were when you saw him play the first time. You got his autograph, you met him, you took a picture with him. He's that kind of young man. I feel like Troy Williams is going to be a cross between athletically what Victor and Will were. He's about 6'6", 6'7". There's absolutely no chance that Victor Oladipo, any of those other guys, would have had a shot in the dunk contest at Hoosier Hysteria with Troy Williams in that building. He is a ridiculous athlete and a winner, and a guy that gave up his senior year in high school at home to go to Oak Hill so he could play against the best competition. Right now he's been working out in Houston with John Lucas, and I think he's the only high school kid. It's all college players and pro players right now, or guys preparing for the draft. Anything to give himself an edge. And that's what our program has got to be about right now. It's got to be what gives you an edge. What gives you an edge academically? What gives you an edge to be smarter with film and to learn the game? What gives you an edge to be a better player? And the reason that guys are getting better at Indiana, and the reason that there's separation from guys, is because of that work ethic. Because if Victor Oladipo, on the first day he's at school 3 years ago, was in Cook Hall, on the last day he leaves, or on the last day at Indiana before he left to go back to Washington, D.C. to prepare for the draft, he's in Cook Hall. And everybody's always looking now. We get a lot more of this with the national publicity. Well, how did this happen? How did that happen? How did Victor go from 21% in the three-point line as a sophomore to 44% as a junior? It happened because he didn't take time away. He didn't work hard for 3, 4, 5 days and take another 2 days. You know, we had some situations on our team this year where we had a couple guys didn't really work outside of practice the way that they needed to work. And when you start the season, okay, just like everybody else in college basketball, we're even. We're even. We all get 20 hours a week, or we get 2 hours a week in the summertime. We're all even with that. It's what you do above and beyond that separates you. Guys like Victor, guys like Will, guys like Jordan Hulls, Guys like Yogi Ferrell, those guys really did it every day. Jeremy Hollowell started to work into that. The work ethic culture and the player development culture that's in there right now has got to be what we stand for. Because if we have a work ethic and we have player development, they're going to get better on the court. They're going to get better in school. They're going to get better. And that's how it has to be. That's why a guy like Victor Oladipo can be ranked somewhere in the mid-140s. Somebody mentioned when I walked in that Noah Vonleh is the highest-ranked guy that I've ever personally recruited. Might be right. But we've got some guys like Victor Oladipo ranked in the 140s. Dwayne Wade, you couldn't even find him in the recruiting services when he was a high school senior. Those guys are in the NBA or on their way to the NBA because the work ethic. See, when you get into college, it's like anything else, okay? When kids get into school, when they start the next year, when they start a new job, you're starting out at zero. The baseline, you've set your baseline based on what you've done to get there. Now it's all brand new. So those McDonald's All-Americans that come in, or those guys ranked in the 100s or 200s, when they start, it's even. It's even. Somebody's talent may be better, somebody's height may be bigger, somebody may weigh more, but when they get in there, they have a chance to separate. And that's what we've got to have at Indiana. That's what we've got to have to be successful. That's what we've got to have to win a Big Ten championship and to compete for the national championship the way that we are. And that's what we're going to continue to build. That's what we're going to continue to build. Cody Zeller, I'm going to give you a brief rundown, and we'll open up to, do we have time for questions? Are we doing that today? All right, I'll go quick. Is that a good hope so or like a bad hope so? Huh? It's a good hope so, okay. All right, good. Cody Zeller is, I think you'll be able to, if you go on ESPN.com, I saw some of this before I left, or one of their writers is in there spending the day watching him work out. And he was raving about his shooting ability and raving about his ball handling ability, and that's just what I saw before I got in the car. And then he's got a workout on Saturday. Jordan Hulls and Cody have the same agent. They'll both be in L.A. Every NBA team will watch them work out on Saturday. Victor Oladipo called last night on his way back to the airport in Orlando. All they have is the second pick in the draft. He'll work out for Cleveland. They have the first pick in the draft. He'll work out for Phoenix. They have the fifth pick in the draft. Washington will come see him. They have the third pick in the draft. Victor Oladipo is going to go very, very early. Christian Watford has had one workout. He starts 3 next week. Then it goes 3 and 4 all the way up to the draft. He'll work out for 15 to 16 different teams before the draft. And Jordan Hulls, this is his first one this weekend. But with all 30 teams there, I'm sure there'll be more that'll pick up from that point. They're making progress. Those guys are making progress. They're doing an excellent job. And when you think about what they did, when you think about the 1,300-plus points that they had in our program, we know we're going to miss a lot. But what those guys did, it helped lay the foundation for the culture of the program. The guys that are going to be there now, they're going to be doing this workouts. They've got a busy summer. Will Sheehy and Yogi Ferrell were invited to the World University Games. There'll be 2 of 30 that will try out for 12 or 13 spots to take a trip with Bob McKillop and his staff to Russia and represent our country. And I'm hoping that both of them make it. Okay, I'm biased, but I'm hoping that both of them make it. And John Beilein is one of the coaches. Matt Painter's one of the guys that's picking the team. Jim Boeheim's one of the guys picking the team. I hope those guys all give them a great look, and I hope they have that opportunity to be on that group. Jeremy Hollowell, Yogi Ferrell, Hana Perea, all working very hard. Peter Jerkin, Austin Etherington working hard and trying to overcome injuries. So they're all there right now. And then, like I said, all the newcomers will be there. Our staff is diligent. Our staff is working very hard at it. We're scheduling a couple unofficial visits every day right now for different people to come in. We'll have people in tomorrow. We'll have people in on Sunday. Going into next week, it's a busy time for us because building the program never ends. It's like somebody said a long time ago about shaving. If you don't do it every day, you look a little rough. And that's exactly what they're talking about when it comes to recruiting. And it's an old line, but there's no truer statement. And I know Kurt's doing it. I know Kevin's doing it. All the coaches are doing it. There'll be all kinds of recruits around baseball tomorrow because they're playing in this regional with a chance to take it to the Super Regional and a chance to take it to the College World Series. It is a great time to be at Indiana. It really is. And you know what? The last few years have been too. Because what you learn when you go through struggles like we have gone through to get this thing built back up is you realize you're never in it by yourself. You realize you're never walking in a situation where you don't have people beside you, behind you, right next to you. And you guys have been that. This state, the Hoosier Nation, 580,000 alums, whatever it is, They have been with it the entire way. And that's why it's an unbelievable place to coach. It's a great place to live. And there's nothing like being a member of the state of Indiana. Thank you for having us. Thank you.